Hi everyone and welcome to today's Maths Monday. If you've come here looking for the answers to the Instagram post I put up today with a set of data and asking you to work out the mean, median, mode and range of that data, then you can skip to the end of the video and look for the slide that has the answers to all of those questions. If you've come to this video looking for some help with calculating the mean, median, mode and range of a homework question that you have, then watch on now and I'm going to go through each of these values with you. Here we go. So first of all, the mean. The mean is the technical average of the data. So it's not just a ballpark figure that you come up with by looking at the data and having a guess. It actually can be calculated using a formula, which we'll go through in a moment. One of the things to understand with the mean is that because it is the average of your data, the mean will not be smaller than the smallest point in your data, and it also won't be higher than the highest value in your data set either. So if you get an answer that falls outside of the range of your data, and we'll talk about range in a little bit, but if you get an answer that falls outside of that range, you've made a mistake, okay? So just be thinking about that for any of these values. They need to come from within the range of your data. Okay, so to work out the average, what we do is we add together all the values that we have. So let's say it was a group of children's ages. We'd add all the ages together. So we do addition first. And when we get that total, we divide that total by the number of people that we were including in that calculation. So if I was calculating 10 children's ages, I would add up their 10 different ages, get a total age for the whole group, and then divide that by 10 to get the average. So the amount of children that we have, or the number of values we have in our data set, is called the N. Okay, so if you see that in a formula, the N is just the number of values that you have. We'll go through some examples shortly. The median is the middle value when we place all the values together in ascending order. So instead of just collecting all the ages of the children in your group and putting them down in the order that you ask each of them, what you need to do to find the median is then, once you've got all those ages, work out who is the youngest and then go from youngest to oldest and put their ages in order. And then you can find the median by going to the middle of your data and finding the value that's in the middle. If there are two values in the middle because you've got an even number, then it's the average of those two middle numbers. And to find the average, we go back to what we just did with the mean. We add them together and we divide by 2 because the N, the number of values that we're working with, would be 2. Now the formula to find the mean is the same. It doesn't matter whether you have an odd or an even number. We use the N, again, the number of values, N plus 1 divided by 2. And that's the way we can calculate the median. But a lot of the time, if you've got a small set of data, you can work it out just by skipping into the middle anyway. Okay, the mode is the most commonly occurring value, and I often say to children, just think about the fact that you've got mo and mode, most. That MO reminds us mode is most. So if we had 5 children out of the 10 children who are all 4 years old, and then we had a couple of 2-year-olds, a 3-year-old and a 7-year-old or something like that. Is that 10? I've lost track. But anyway, whichever one happens the most, that's your mode. It's also possible to have no mode. If everybody is a different age, then there is no mode. And what does that tell you? It tells you your data is very varied. And finally, the range. And we're just talking about the general range, not interquartile range or any of those more complicated values or measures, which actually aren't that complicated. And if you need some help working that out, then shoot me an email or drop me a comment on this video and I can help you with that as well. But to find the range, you just are finding the difference between the lowest value and the highest value of your data. So for example, the youngest child and the oldest child from the group that you might be collecting the ages from. And then with that, once you have those two values, you use subtraction and you take away the smallest value from the largest value, and that will give you the range. So if I had 2-year-olds to 10-year-olds, I'd have 10, I'd take away 2. The range of ages would be 8 years between the youngest and the oldest. Okay, so let's have some practice. Here are the ages of children at a party, just like I was talking about before. We've got a 6-year-old, 9, 3, 5, 7, 8, 6, 2, 6, and 8. So let's find out some of these measures. The mean. So how many values do we have? That's the first thing we need to look at. To find the mean, we need to know the n. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 children at this party. Okay, now we can add up these values. Now, sometimes there might be a shortcut for doing this addition. So you might say, oh, if there were 2 5s, you could do 5 plus 5 and then work them out like that. I like to either do them in my head and then calculate and cross them out, or if you have a lot of numbers, then you might need to do them using a calculator, add them up using a calculator. If you do that, make sure you do it at least twice to double check that you haven't missed a number when you were doing it. So let's do that. So we've got 8 plus 2 is 10 plus 6 would be 16 down here. And then what can we do? We've got 6 and 5, that's 11 plus 9 would be 20, 23, 30, 38, 16 plus 22, 38 plus 22. So can you see the process that I'm doing there to try and find some shortcuts and use what we call friendly numbers? Yeah, I might just pop this over here to show people who maybe have forgotten a little bit of how to do this carrying as well. So I've got 8 plus 2 in this column, which is 10. 1 plus 3 is 4 plus 2 is 6. So my total was 60. My n is 10. And so I have 60. When I add them all together, I'm dividing it by 10 because that's how many values I have, which makes the mean 60 divided by 10, which is 6. So my mean age for children at this party is 6. Now, with the median, we need to order the values first. When we're doing this, I always recommend that we start with the youngest one and then we just cross them out as we're going as well. So I've got a 2-year-old. Then I've got a 3-year-old. No 4-year-olds by the look of it. A 5-year-old. 6-year-old. Another 6-year-old. Another 6-year-old. A 7-year-old. An 8-year-old. Another 8-year-old. And a 9-year-old. Now, do you remember we had 10? Our n before was 10. So I can just check that I have 10 values here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yes. Now, I can do my little formula, n plus 1 divided by 2. My median, which is 10 plus 1 divided by 2, which is 11 divided by 2, which is 5.5. So that would mean that I come into value 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then halfway between 5 and 6, I'm going to find 5.5. So my median is going to be halfway between 6 and 6. So in this case, they're both 6, right? So the median is going to be 6. If it was 5 and 6, I'd have to divide them. So that 5.5 is not calculating the median, it's calculating where in the line of data I need to draw my line here that I just did to find the median point. That's the middle point of the data. Alternatively, what I could have done is just count it in. So 1, I could do it underneath here. 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, 5. And it still would have reached the same point. It would have been halfway between the two 6s to find that median. Both work, okay? If you have a lot more data, of course, you're not going to want to be sitting there with 100 pieces of data, 100 values, and going in like that. That would be silly. So in that case, your formula would be really helpful. And the next one, the mode, the most frequently occurring. Now, it's helpful here to go back and have a look at the ordering that I did, because then you can see that there are 3 6s. Okay, but if I didn't have that and I was just asked to calculate the mode and I hadn't done anything else, I might be able to eyeball the data, because this is a small collection, and see which one was the most frequently occurring. But if I didn't have such a small collection, then it would help to have them all in order as well. Okay, so the mode, in this case, the most frequently occurring is 6. Now, if we go back, in this particular set of data, our mean was 6, our average, our median, our middle number was also 6, and our mode was 6. That doesn't always happen. Often there's a little bit of variation, and you may need to think about which measure is actually going to give you the best representation of the data. But in this case, they all match, which is actually a really good way of checking that we're on the right track. Now, here we go with the range. I've just got my face over, move myself over here for a second. Okay, so the highest value here, the oldest child was 9, and the youngest child, 2. So my range is going to be my 9, take 2, which is 7. So the range of the data, the range from the smallest to the largest number in this set of data is 7. Okay, bring myself back over here. Okay, which brings us, maybe I won't. Let me see. Well, that doesn't matter. It's just the bit where I said look on the YouTube channel. Okay, so here we are, moving myself around. Okay, so you can see from the data that I put up on the Instagram post today, I've calculated the mean. So the N was 10 again. I calculated the total of all those values there. 4 plus 6 plus 10 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 9 plus 3 plus 4. And the total was 50. I then divided that 50 by the N of 10 to get 5. So the mean from that set of data was 5. Does it fall within the range of data we have there? Yes. So it's quite likely to be right. The median, when I line the numbers up from smallest to largest, was the middle there was at 4. Even if I divided those two and then halved it, added 1 and then divided that by n plus 1 divided by 2, I'd still end up between my 5th and 6th values there at 5.5. You can see that there. And that would give me 4. So my 5.5, 5.5 values in is still between the two 4s. So the median for this set of data, 4. The mode, the most frequently occurring for this set of data, was also 4. And the range, my highest value to my lowest value, was 10 down to 2. 10 take away 2, or 10 subtract 2, gives me 8. So my range was 8. So the mean was 5, the median was 4, the mode was 4, and the range was 8. How did you go? Now, I did mention interquartile, the interquartile range. If you want help with that or other more complicated representations of statistics, feel free to let me know, and I can do a video on some of those things like a stem and leaf plot or a histogram. It depends what you're covering in class and what you need help with. To do that, you can comment on this video or send me an email to jane@lavenderlearning.com.au. If you need help with a maths topic though, please like this video, subscribe to the channel so that I know that you're following along and I can produce the content that you'd like. And if you hit the bell, you'll be notified when I put up videos. And that way, if you have asked for something, you'll know to come in and check and see if it's there. Thanks so much for watching today. I hope you guys have a great week. I hope that was helpful and I hope I can help you again soon. Okay, bye.